Good evening, you beautiful cucumbers. Good evening, you gorgeous people. Happy Monday night. Welcome to TCB Studios and welcome to Burn It Down. I'd like to stop for a moment and thank our sponsors. A&F Agriculture. Big shout out to Sandy D. I can tell you this, that the products work. I was breaking out, having some trouble. I used their moisturizer and boom, I was brand new, like a million lire. Like to give a shout out to Kelly's Death Pickles. To Kelly and Michelle, one love, much love, best pickles on the planet. I've said it once, I'll say it again. When Mastodon, Slayer, and Rancid say you have the best pickles on the planet, well, maybe you should try them. How's everyone doing this evening? A lot of you folks know that one of my songwriting partners for almost 30 years now is Mr. Brent Hines from the band Mastodon. One of my best friends. We've been writing songs since the mid-90s. The Grammy award-winning band Mastodon. I've said this before. Music has saved me and changed me and rearranged me. It saved my life a million times. And it's magic. And one of the greatest things about music is we develop these lifelong friendships, these wonderful relationships. And our guest tonight is one of them. I met her online a few years ago. She, along with a few other beautiful people, run the Mastodon Mayhem fan page. Well, we changed that and met in person last week in Asheville, North Carolina. And boy, did we have a blasty. Let's get into it. Let's go for a ride. Let's burn it down. Everybody, drum roll, Miss Amanda Blachman.
Hi, I'm here.
And let me just say this, a great human, a fantastic being, someone who just is this like ray of sunshine of PMA, positive mental attitude, and I choose awesome just coming out of you. And I absolutely love it. And it's so funny because I was talking with Renee. Shout out to the octopus behind the scenes. She's amazing. One of my heroes and my partners, Renee Jaworski, upstate New York, who does so much, produces, directs, writes. And I was telling her about you and some people that I guess know me told you, they're like, oh my goodness, you and Tom are going to hit it off.
Oh.
Well, they didn't know what was going to happen because we really did.
Yes. Literally, so many people were like, you and Tom. The word they kept using was vibe. And I was like, that's very specific. But like, I didn't question it because I'm like, we will. I know. But then it was just like out of this world. It was so cool.
Right. And at TCB, and we are going to get into the mayhem, and we're going to get into the band and the beautiful humans that they are. And then the fans, because that's what I really would like to talk about. But I'm at TCB and I choose awesome and everything that we do every day of life. Me and my brother Darren Sanders, it's our thing, and it's vibe is very important. Just walking by a person down the street in New York City, they may be having the worst day ever, and you smile at them and say, "Hey, how you doing?" You might change their day, and just your vibe might give them the best day ever.
Yeah, that's so true. It just spread the love. Yeah, good vibes.
Spread the love. Yeah, and I have to say, yes, so I'm very good friends with Brent, and we've written and put out several albums together under the name Western Motel, but I'm also good friends with Bron, Troy, and Bill, and they're just wonderful humans who are really, really good to their fans, and I think that's what kind of gets it going, which makes your page so different, your fan club so different, because I've been in fan clubs over the years, and I think I told you this last week over a gin and tonic, and I said some of these fan clubs, they're not that cool, and you guys are the coolest, and the people have such passion, and they're so thoughtful and caring.
Yeah, it's so true. And I feel like there's a couple of things that I can comment on with that. So the first thing I think of is like at the very first thing is like the fans are a reflection of the band. You mentioned that you're
Mhm.
good friends with them. They're, I've gotten to know them better over the years. They are all genuinely very good people. So I feel
Wonderful.
good attracts good. So
Yeah.
that just kind of comes forward there. And I think just kind of like knowing that the band has this awareness about our community. We have people from the band in the community.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bill, and then of course Darren. And I think we have some mothers and some aunts in the group as well. It just
Yeah.
motivates you to want to, keep things cool, and knowing that they view this community as like the premier place for their fans to congregate and hang and stuff like that. It means
Right.
a lot, and it motivates us to keep it fun, keep it fresh, keep it positive, keep it inclusive, and stop any drama on the rare times that it happens. So yeah,
Right.
but
I've
I
seen
appreciate the kind words.
I've seen you do that, and I absolutely love it because I think in terms like when I was a little kid growing up in New York and certainly got in trouble. It's like when the person who's the sound of, the voice of reason of the room nips it in the bud. Like it happens so quick, and you're absolutely right. It's not a lot because
Mhm.
98% of it's just beautiful appreciation and camaraderie and family and community and brotherhood and sisterhood. Bunch
Mhm.
of beautiful cucumbers hanging out in the garden.
That's all it is. It's,
Yeah,
is to keep it simple, not a ton of rules, just keep it cool, respect the band, and, just be rad.
I love it. I love it. And so, I was lucky enough to see, their first show, their second show, their third show, and I've seen them
Mhm.
probably 70 times. And they're just, and I just love watching friends get bigger and become better, just at, perfecting what they do. And I haven't seen them in Atlanta in a long time because out of respect, I know that all the families are there, and it's like, no, you guys, So I was like, no, I'm going to go out of town and see him. And then I think you got a text from our brother and our sponsor, Kelly
Yeah.
Hester, was like,
Hi, Kelly.
you responded to me and you said, a little birdie told me that you might be at the Asheville show. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be there.
I know.
Absolutely the best.
It was so good. I think it was he tagged you, like, because I commented like I'm ready for Asheville, and Kelly thankfully connected those dots, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have to link up because I was just going there because I didn't want to miss the first leg, and then I told
Right.
you last weekend like I always try to pick some place to explore that I've never been to before. Asheville was on a Sunday. I'm a 9 to 5 person, so it just made sense to make a long beautiful weekend out of it, and it just
Yes.
exceeded my expectations in every regard, from the performance to the hangs,
Yeah.
everything.
And it was gorgeous. And
Mhm.
the city, the town is gorgeous itself. You were texting me, you're like, this town's so beautiful. And I've played shows there before, and it's it's a place that I could live in. It's like anywhere you're at in the town, you turn around and you're surrounded by mountains. I mean, we were running in the rain
We
to
were,
the show,
yes,
surrounded by mountains.
I
And
know.
the thing is and I know that they've just been on fire. So cheers to
Mhm.
the lads, and thank you so much for all the art and the music and what you guys do. But I was hanging out with Dee Dee, Darren's better half, and she had seen several of the shows, and she was like, you guys picked the right show. This is the best show. Like, and
Yeah.
they were just on fire. And it was just like, I mean, I said to my friend Chuck, who you met, who's just one of the sweetest humans on the planet. I go, we're best friends with a band that has pyro.
Yeah.
Like, this is like I'm a rock and roll guy who's plays it in small bars and art galleries, and I'm like my friends are rocking on stage with pyro and lasers, and I love it.
Yes, I
And it was
know.
absolutely the best.
Oh, it was so cool. And after, I think it was right after they performed, because me and my friend Rick, I think he's watching. So hi, Rick.
Shout out to
We,
Rick. I was texting with Rick today, and actually
yeah.
I meant to say this in my intro, but I was so excited about bringing my guest on. But I a couple of things. One is I want to give a shout out and thank my brother Dan Falkenthal for being on the show last week, who
Mhm.
does work with the charity called Punk Rock Saves Lives. And I got so many wonderful comments and feedback about our conversation, and it segues into what else I want to say, that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Any of you folks want to send a note to Renee and you have suggestions, DM me. We all need to stay together and dance to rock and roll and beautiful music and hug and be there for each other. Never tear each other down, lift each other up. Rick actually sent me some nice notes saying nice to meet you, but he also had some suggestions regarding mental health awareness, and I want to give Rick a shout out. So thank you so much, because we had some really wonderful conversations. Myself, Chuck, you, and Rick hanging out at a pub down the block.
Yes, I'm not going to remember the name. It was some beer garden. That's what it was. I was like, it was a German name.
Yes, BIER Garden.
BIER Garden.
What I wanted to ask you about is because also because you and everyone else involved, and you guys do such a good job with your contests.
Oh, thank you.
And it's really well done, and they're really well thought out, prizes, and it always seems to be everyone is really involved in it. Like, I've been asked to be a judge a few times on some of the pieces of artwork and stuff. And tell me a little about that. Like, I guess what I want to share with people is how, if someone loves a band so much and wants to do something, how do you go out and do this? Because it is a lot of work. And I know we talked, and you come from an HR background and a bit of a PR background.
Yeah,
and,
a little bit. Well, I'd love to give just like kind of like a history about how that happened, because it started, I'll back up a little bit, because when you were talking, I wanted to just comment about like how like your best friends are on this stage, like with pyro and stuff.
Right.
And, it's crazy. Well, Rick and I made our way down to the front and got to like see it firsthand, because if you know me, I like to be on the rail. I like to be in front of Billy Kay. Like, that is my spot. It's my jam.
Right.
So we made our way out there and then came right back, and then had the honor to, talk to our friend Bill, and you could tell he was, on fire. Like that was an amazing performance. Yeah. Shout him out. And then I was talking to him and said, I'm sure I'm not the first person to say this to him, but I had seen them in Gojira back in 2014 at this little place that was in a strip mall, like in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I remember thinking, like, what is this place? So to see these two hardworking, talented bands just keep getting better and better. And then the other piece of that is right? Like, and
so good, wonderful.
So good people, good band. But just to be able, like, even if I like had a small part in helping in some way, like, from like a fan perspective and creating this community, like, it's, just amazing. So I like told Bill that, and was just like, I feel like a proud parent, because I couldn't think of another way to think of it. It's like, oh my gosh, these two bands that were so deserving of it just got it. But to go back to the contest, it started, so I joined the group shortly after I saw them at that show in Pierre's. And I remember I bought something from the official store, because I was like so enamored with this band and like the people that I met, and it was like a pack of magnets. So I ran a dinky little contest. I think it was just about like, tell me what you love with the band, and I'll randomly pick somebody to get these magnets. So, but then around like shortly thereafter, Bill started to get the Mastodon merch store up and running, and I had messaged him to buy a poster, and I said, hey, is this poster still available? Because way back in the day, you had to, like, it wasn't a website. You had to message them, and it was Bill behind the scene who would tell you, yeah, it's available, or, no, it's not. So
which is wonderful, which is really wonderful as well. I mean, he's such a great guy, and they're all great guys. But to know that that you're close enough that you can, send them a note, it's wonderful.
It was so cool. So I said, I want this poster. I'm going to give it away in the Mastodon Mayhem Facebook group. And he was like, yeah, I'll throw some extra junk in there. I don't know if he said junk, but then I got this tube.
Swag.
Yeah, some swag. Yeah, we like that word. So it was like a tube of just like posters and pics. And I was just like gobsmacked. Like he literally sent me this stuff for like the price of a poster, because I know that he, was seeing like probably the work that we were doing in the group and everything like that. So, but I always say, like, I'll think of some contests, but I like a lot of our ideas. I'm happy to facilitate, HR nerd here. Like I'm the mother, like I can bring people together. I can do the contest, I'll facilitate it, I'll make the rules, I'll think of who the judges are, but a lot of the ideas come from people in the group. So we had, and I'm not going to say their name because it was an anonymous person that actually gave a gift to the group, but they suggested the pumpkin carving contest.
Right, yeah.
So if you're listening, shout out to you.
Shout out, pumpkin.
They gave a generous donation, or like I think the last one was Brandon Walchuk's idea. He's another admin, so we kind of all talk, and I'm just the facilitator because we're facilitators, right? So,
well, yes, it's so funny, and Renee is one as well behind the scenes. Again, shout out to Renee because I could not do this show. I'm a novice at so many things, but when it gets going, and if someone believes in me, I'm going to try to execute, and we're having a blast with the show. And we've always said, back when we were hanging out backstage 15 minutes ago, you and I, the virtual green room, we've always said we never want it to be an interview. It's more of just a conversation between mates, between beautiful friends, things that they're passionate about. And when you mentioned earlier, you're talking about the fans reflect the band, and then the fans in this beautiful, gorgeous, just awesome, positive fan group, they all attract each other. And it's like there's a reason why when we met, we're attracted to each other. And it's because we love the same things, and we certainly hate the same things, which is hatred, bullies, homophobia, fascism, racism, all that stuff. No, you can't be here. And that's the thing we take such pride in. And they're the kind of band that they're family men and just beautiful, awesome humans. And it's like, it really is just one beautiful, sexy, gorgeous circle pit. It's the best.
Instead of, you get hit in the face and it's like a love bomb. Wait, that's like a negative term. Maybe that's not it.
Right. That sounded a little perverted on a Monday night, Amanda.
I know. I swear, I just drink it.
No, but you're absolutely right, and I love it, and I really appreciate. I just love seeing the love, and I'm glad that I'm on there. I even the stuff that people post, it's something that excites them, or it might be something that someone caught of like an acoustic performance for years that, let's say, you and I have seen, but they've never seen it. And you're not going to have someone go, "Oh, that's been up there for years. What's wrong with you?" No, because maybe they're new to it and they're excited. And how beautiful is it to live vicariously through someone watching them be excited for the first time.
Oh my gosh, I wish I could relive that, or even
Me
just
too.
got a lot of new fans, or they got a lot of new fans when they did that tour with Ghost, because Ghost is freaking huge now. And I remember people joining, I saw them open for Ghost, and it was like a really good show, and here I am.
Right. And I remember when they had Ghost open for them years ago, and it's amazing. And and you mentioned being a nerd earlier. So besides everyone being just awesome, beautiful people, the other thing is let's be honest, we're nerds, and we're the word fan is short for fanatic. So we're fanatics about being nerds who just love music, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's amazing, and it's beautiful, and it's positive.
It is. It's great. And and to be able, I feel like to be able to articulate that to the band as well, and know that they understand that this community is there of people that love and care about their music. It's been healing, and to get a chance to tell them that is just, it's really cool.
I love it. Yeah. Well, I told you, I'd met up with Bill that morning and mentioned that I'd met you. And he goes, "Amanda does so much for us. He basically was like this. He's like, "Yeah, Amanda's awesome." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I heard she was through Darren and a few people, because Darren is my brother. He and I do a bunch of stuff together under the name I Choose Awesome." And even that's about spreading the word of positivity with music and art, And but it also feels good to be acknowledged and recognized for the stuff you do. And you clearly do it because you love just music or the band, whatever. But then when you get that extra, you get the extra piece of birthday cake, the icing on the cake, and you're like, "What? Now someone knows me," and it's like, it really is. It's you got the smile from ear to ear over it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I always think, when you had mentioned our friend Darren, and first of all, he's so wonderful.
That's my brother.
He's amazing. Like when because because I think I'm so like visible in the group, I get messages a lot of the time, especially when it's tour time. It's always, things like who's closing what night. And he's
Right.
always so good about like helping me out and fill in any sort of dots or tagging him in the posts about like the guitar settings and things like that. But I'll
Right.
always remember when I went to Ireland to see the band in 2016, and he was so darn cool. That was like one of I think that may have been
Cool.
like the fifth and sixth time that I saw the band. That was where I also met my friend Gethin. If he's watching, shout out. And your friend Gethin
I
as
need to
well.
tell you, he's a friend of mine as well. I met him in
Yes.
New York City. I was still living in New York, and I gave him and his wife a tour of all the cool punk rock and metal and art and rock
Yeah.
and roll little landmines, like Joey Ramone plays next to CBGB's, and we also had a few Irish pints of Guinness, and
What you do?
we had the best time.
I probably had a few with him as well because it was in Ireland. I mean, what
Shout out to
what
Gethin.
else
Yeah,
are you going to do? Yeah.
such another just man doing the Lord's work. He's such a good human and just lovely.
He's so awesome. But those shows, Darren went out of his way to like make sure he knew I was there and went out of his way to make sure that like I was cared for. And I know that he had a hand in telling the band that I was there. And that was when I realized like they knew who I was. Like it was just like kind of gobsmacking to see them come out and be like, "Oh, it's Amanda." I'm like, "Hey," and now it's like, "Oh, yep, there's Amanda." Like typical.
Yeah.
She's in her spot.
Yeah. So I know where you are, and I know a few of your fans who are watching know where you are. But tell us where you are right now.
Where am I? So I am in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm actually in my dining room right now, if we want a real location. So I'm originally from the northern part of Ohio, a little town called Toledo. It's like 45 minutes from Detroit. So grew up going up to Michigan, but I lived in Cincinnati for a while. And I say by day I'm an HR professional. I do a lot of stuff with talent management and associate development and facilitating like our product that we develop on our team. And then by night I'm the mother of Mastodon Mayhem, or during the day they're a lot.
And a rock and roll fan and a fan of drag shows, like really good stuff. We talked about that. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm in TCB Atlanta, but I've lived in a few places the past few years, and it's been really good to be here because I have family here, and I have friends that I've been writing music with for years here, with 3 or 4 different bands that I love, and the world was on hold, and we didn't know what was next, and it's been nice to catch up with some of my beautiful, lovely friends that I didn't see for a long time. And that's kind of the thing that's really wonderful when I was doing this write-up about you, is because we met online, like the world was on hold, and next thing you know, you like, it comes to this like this halting, stop for a second. You're like, well, bands play. Will I get to see this favorite band of mine again on tour again? Like, what's going on? So many unknowns. And so then, they're doing cool performances, for Adult Swim and at the aquarium, and people are doing live streams, and it's like, life hands you lemons, you make lemonade, and I made so many great friendships, and you are on the top of that list.
Yeah, I love that. I know we did. And I think too, to that point about like friendships, what is so great about the Mastodon community, like I feel like I live very online, and I think that may be common for a lot of people that have fandoms. And I don't say that like it's a negative thing at all, but it's like I remember when I saw Mastodon at that little place in Indiana, I was like, I need a community to like talk to about this band. And and so I all that to say is like I have friends everywhere now, and like my coworkers and my friends that are here that like are not in the metal community, like just know, they're like, well, Amanda's gonna have friends wherever she goes. And it's so true. Like, in Asheville, it was like Rick met up with us, but then I met like my friends Kirkland, Melissa, ran into a few other people, and it's just like there's friends everywhere. It's just so cool.
And I hate that I didn't meet those extra people with you next time. And it's lovely. Well, I mean, I got a call today from a friend of mine who was at the show in Asheville, and I didn't even know it. And I feel bad about that, but it's so funny because I remember when the boys started playing out, because they're all just really incredulous visionaries and artists in every sense of the word, even coming down to themes for records and stuff,
Mhm.
so deep attention to detail. And it's like, I remember saying to some friends early on that they reminded me of like Radiohead meets early Metallica. And then my friend Tony called me today, who lives in, I didn't know he was living in Nashville. Otherwise, I would have called him,
Yeah.
And he moved from Chattanooga, Tennessee to there. And he's like, man, it's awesome because and I was like, I wish I would have known. I would love to grab a pint with you and caught up. We haven't seen each other in a few years. And he's like, well, I know they used to have, this other sound, but because they're on the tour with Gojira, they brought the brutality, they brought the brutal set. And he goes, so the other night they were more like Motorhead meets Pink Floyd. And I'm like, well, that's cool too. And I was
Yeah.
like, yes, they definitely
Spot on.
were. And I absolutely loved it. And I was like, well, that's it, man. Because when you love it and you get so good at doing what you do, like those gentlemen, you're very good at wearing several hats and bringing
Mhm.
that delivery.
Yeah, and just like the delivery and I think the genuine joy, like,
Yeah.
because I always try to get the best seat in the house, but like, just to see they are genuinely like happy and at
Hmm.
ease and very like well into like I shouldn't say
Yeah.
at ease because I'm sure it's very stressful and like not
Right.
relaxing to be up there
Right.
necessarily, but it's always just so good and I yeah, just extra special to like be a part of that and especially
Right.
when Bill came out backstage and was like, that
Yeah.
was good. I was like, yeah, like it really was. It was great.
You're like we call it the brails here at TCB Studios when the arm hairs go up, and it's like, man, I just got the brails,
The
and
braille.
it's so cool.
So
So what's next? Like I mean, you probably can't give any secrets regarding any cool contests for the fan page, but also it would be cool if some of your fans and your friends and even now my new friends started following some of the shows that we're doing here at CCTV and
yeah.
vice versa. I'd love it if some of the people watching here went ahead and hit up Amanda and followed the Mastodon Mayhem fan page because we love it. I remember when it hit 10,000 members, you're like, what? We got
Yeah.
this.
I know. It
And
was so
it's so
crazy.
cool.
Like I still remember because we've gotten a lot stricter about who we let into the group because the online spam bots or whatever. So it's like you have to
Right.
answer questions, and we do have
Right.
post approval, blah blah blah. But I remember being like so jazzed when we hit like 5,000 members, and now it's
Right.
like, oh my god, we're nearing 12,000. So it's
Yeah,
just
yeah, it's so cool. So yeah, so what is next? Well, I know you're going to be catching a couple of more shows.
yeah, yep. So I will be, oh gosh, they're coming to Cincinnati. They're probably like, oh my gosh,
Wow.
this crazy Amanda's going to be there. But I'm so happy you're coming to my town. I don't have to travel too far.
Right. Yeah,
Right here.
when is that?
That is, I think, August the 9th. So they're actually opening their second leg here. So
Oh,
I'm
that's pretty
like,
close because I think I might try to see him in mid-August in Maine.
okay, that is
So
not a show on my radar, but I will be at Detroit.
cool.
Cleveland
Right.
is a maybe because it's right after the Cincy show and it's
Mhm.
like midweek. But I will also
Right.
be at Minneapolis. I'm meeting up with some other friends
Doing
that
it,
I
doing
haven't.
it.
So yeah, so I'm like, I've never been to Minnesota, so I'm going up there meeting my friends Jessica and Maggie. I'm not sure if they're listening or not. I don't. Yeah, I'm not
Hi
sure.
guys.
Hi. So
Shout out to Rick. Shout out to everyone.
yeah.
You really are all beautiful, positive
Uh,
cucumbers. Well, so
I
Amanda Blackman, just straight up, you were officially a Rolling Stone. You just you're a Rolling Stone. You follow the music.
That's right. I mean, or like, what is it? What's that one movie they call them Band-Aids and Almost Famous? They're like, they're in it for the
Yeah,
music. I'm a Band-Aid, but
we just watched that recently, and that
yeah,
really is such a fun, beautiful movie.
such a good
Again,
movie.
I absolutely I hadn't
Yeah.
seen it in forever, and sometimes when you watch it with someone else, you understand it or you appreciate it
Mhm.
differently, and
Mhm.
it was so lovely, so
Yeah,
lovely.
it's so good. But I don't know. So I haven't done a ton in the group because I feel like I've just been so busy lately and like sometimes coordinating contests, figuring stuff out and all that stuff. It can take a lot of time. But I have like 2 or 3 posters burning in my office right now. I have some Billy
Right.
Kay pics and I'm sure I'm going to be going to Atlanta
Yeah.
soon. So I'm not sure. Maybe I know I'll leave with like a ton of pickles for sure.
Well, it's
Maybe
funny. We
some
were talking
mascarpone.
about, talking about these things online as well. Kelly and I, this is so insane. We only met during the pandemic.
I remember
and
you saying
and we share like 100 friends. And so again, shout out to Kelly. We love having him and Death Pickles be a sponsor for the Burn It Down show.
I love that.
We have them all over the studio here, and but like you and I met Kelly and his beautiful wife Michelle. She rules. We hit it off like that, and they're just fantastic humans.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that I'm in town. You see, in the 9th
Yeah.
through the 11th.
Yeah, come hang. I think there's going to be a show on Saturday night that I think I think it's the Cloaks, but I might be misspeaking. So
Cloak's
I don't
great
know.
band.
There's
Cloak's a great
something there
band.
on
Yeah.
Saturday.
So
So
I'll look that up and I'll email you and text you.
yeah,
And
good to see you again.
yeah, it'll be so wonderful. And then what? So you're going to be catching a few more shows on the
Mhm.
second run of this Mega
Yeah.
Month, of course,
Yeah.
which rules. And then what about any other cool things happening? Like, do you guys do like an end of summer contest, a Christmas contest? What else do you have that you're going to be working on?
Gosh, so I think what I'm thinking is because I am going to be pretty busy. Summertime is a busy time. So outside of the
In your real life, like work wise?
in my well, not work wise, I'm traveling. So after
Oh, cool.
Atlanta, it's Pride Month, which always has a lot of fun events. So
Yeah.
my best friend and I, who is not she's not in the metal community, but we're making a big weekend of it in Columbus, where
Oh, yeah.
we love drag. We're big fans of RuPaul's Drag Race, so
We,
we're
we
going to
that's
spend
so
some.
this show is amazing. We're big fans of drag here as well. We may need to meet you guys.
Yeah, we'd love that. Yeah. So we're doing all that. But what I'm thinking is I'd love to at least do one before the next tour starts, because a lot of it has to do with like when people are going to engage, or if engagement's
Right,
low, time it to like get people excited or hyped
right.
about something like that. So I will probably maybe do something at least before the tour starts. And I'm thinking it'll be something, I don't know, like crazy and wild. Like I love when we do like the art contest. We
Yes, that's
try to
so
do like
good.
the luck of the draw, because I know not like I'm not an artist. I always joke like I do the contest because I'm not creative in that way, but like I can
Right.
use my strengths to facilitate and to make this fun for people. So I don't know. We've done art, we've done like pet contests, we've even had people
Yeah.
like the band. We've done like so much stuff. So if anybody listening like has some suggestions, you can hit me up on Facebook. I would love to hear some ideas, because I really
Yeah.
do. I have two beautiful posters burning a hole in my office
Yeah.
that I want to give away.
And we talked about this the other day, and I could say it. I'll say it again. I think Renee is an octopus behind the scenes. There's an art to being a facilitator and someone who makes things happen and introduces people to other people and says, "I think you guys can make a great team and kick some serious ass and do some insane executing." Like
Yeah.
on projects.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
It's a skill I've honed in my corporate career that I use effectively in my personal life, I think. So
Well, yeah, listen, well, everything is art. This conversation is art. Well,
I love it.
what you wear, how you walk, and dancing and food, all of it's art. And
Love it.
appreciate all the good stuff.
Yeah, I know. I'm so glad that we had a chance to meet. I
Me
just feel
too.
like I know that we talked about it, but that weekend, like everything was perfect. From you, I still remember you called me right when I had crossed the North Carolina state line, and I was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like driving into these beautiful mountains. I was listening to Fiona Apple, and then you called and
beautiful.
was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I'm driving into North Carolina. I'm going to see you tomorrow. It's going to be a great weekend. And it literally was, like, in every sense of the word, like,
It it really was. It was everything that was supposed to happen happened.
Mhm.
The music, and then again, just the people and the love of
Yeah,
the camaraderie and the brotherhood and the sisterhood.
yeah,
It's and it's not in every scene or in every groups. So I do believe it's because the people take pride, because they're influenced by the people who are playing the music. I think everyone strives to thrive and just be a better human than they were yesterday.
yeah,
And I know that's how I try to live. And
yeah,
and I could tell you and we have conversations about it. You do as well. And it's pretty simple.
yeah. It's
Be nice
simple.
be nice to your neighbor,
Yeah.
and rock and roll. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
that's it.
it's
That's
like,
like,
I mean, like,
yeah.
I'm a big fan of having a good time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm guilty of having too much fun, but I promise I'm not going to hurt. I'm not going to hurt anybody.
No, 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 no. And that's kind of like what I think about when I think about my role in the Mastodon group. Like I want everybody to have fun. I want
Right.
everybody to show the love for this band by doing these like sometimes crazy contests. Like if
Right.
someone needs tickets for a show and it's sold out, I'm going to do what I
Right.
can to try to find tickets for that. And I remember like now I feel like I've
It's
got a
so cool.
well-oiled machine, but like way but years back, Bill used to message and be like, "Hey, I'm running a sale on the merch store. Like, can you help me? Can you share, get the word out, or something like that?" And now it's like kind of like got this well-oiled machine. Like, it's like, yeah, I'll let the fans know that there's
Wow.
something going on in the
Yeah.
merch store. We'll promote like the guitar contests, and yeah, it's really cool. I'm rambling a little bit, but
No,
I
not
take
at
a lot of
all.
pride in making sure that like the fans are
Yeah.
taken care of because it means a lot to me, and knowing that like the band, it means a lot that we have
It's
as
the
a fan
best.
community
It's the
help.
best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, so no, rambling is good. Like I said, we never want it to be an interview. We want it to be this just awesome conversation
Be
between
friends
friends,
talking. Yeah.
and so let me say this, and when we do stop in a minute, please
Yeah.
hang on. So we'll meet backstage and chat for a second, even longer.
Yeah.
Um, a couple of things that I need to say as we are closing out is I'm so glad we met in person.
Me
I'm so
too.
glad we saw this concert together. I don't know. You might see me in Cincinnati, and you might see me at a drag show in Columbus.
Yeah,
And
come
I'll see you
on.
in June, hanging out, eating pickles and maybe doing picklebacks with. And Michelle Hester.
Yeah,
And
yeah, all the pickles.
yeah, and so much love. Like love is all around. But our theme song is called "Burn It Down." Love is all around,
Mhm.
and I've had people say, "What do you mean by that with the show?" And I go, "Anything, any toxicity, anything that's a cancer, anything that's negative, anything that's toxic, we throw it to the ground, we burn it down, and we just we rise up and just do all the good, beautiful stuff." You know.
I love that. That's all, and love is all around. Like that just REM did a cover of that song. I don't want to I know that you're wrapping up, but
No,
I'm
no,
like,
not at
"Oh,
all. Listen, and we love our. Well, the other thing is this, and the gentlemen, the Mastodon dudes, they're all like just artists, and they just love all kinds of music. So there's good rap and there's horrible rap. There's good metal and there's horrible metal. Like
yeah.
beautiful music is beautiful music. I've seen Troy in 7 or 8 interviews say I'd be nothing without George Jones, Men at Work, Neurosis, or my parents. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, and it's just like love the right things.
Mhm.
And you certainly do. Again, shout out to Rick. It was so nice to meet him. That was a nice little slice of heaven.
Yeah.
You actually met family members of mine that I hadn't seen in years. It was a really beautiful, magical
I
evening. We,
know.
we hung out in the bar and we would dance, and it was like a scene out of Pulp Fiction meets Grindhouse meets like Gran Torino with Little
I
Richard and
know.
Sam Cooke, and it
And
was
a
it was
cramp under
just
the
awesome.
table.
Oh
Don't
my goodness.
breathe in.
Yeah. I still have a cramp in this right leg. It's amazing. Yeah, thank you so much for being on. And
Of course.
I again, this month of May, and it shouldn't just be the month of May, it should be all the time. Life is like being in a pit. Someone goes down in the circle pit, lift them up. And we're big fans of that. And I love that Rick reached out to me and had some ideas to talk about anxiety and depression and these
Mhm.
real things that affect us every day.
Mhm.
And you running this group with the folks that you do, because they're all great. Shout out to Johnny and Gethin and everyone else. And you know, it really helps, like that positive energy coming in the room.
Yeah.
Negativity is contagious, but positivity is contagious as well. So
Mhm.
we'll need to have you back and just talk, and everybody, so much love and thank you so much. I want to give a shout out to my sweet friend Cassie. I'm thinking about you, who's my co-host from Three on the Ones and Twos. She knows why I'm saying it. I just want to tell you I love you so much, and we used to rob banks together a long time ago, and we've been through it all, and I got you back. Shout out to Kelly and Michelle and Death Pickles. Shout out to Sandy D. Shout out to my friend Julio. Check out his new single. It's awesome. He's upstate New York. And love is all around, and life can be awesome if you just let it. And most of all, thank you, Amanda Blachman. And thank you to Bill Braun, Brent, and Troy. for sharing these beautiful things that you put out into the world, And we're going to see you guys next week. I hope you guys had a good time. Amanda, thank you for sharing me with your friends. And I hope my friends liked you. I don't see why they wouldn't.
I know we're blending groups again, just like last week. I love it. Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
Thank you. Hang on a second. Thank you guys. Take care.